Hey everybody, this is Enrique, and this is Crusin in the Quad Cities, a kind of an online podcast that we're putting together to talk about different things to do with people who are car enthusiasts, people that want information having to do with vehicles, or just basic information about things to do with vehicles in the Quad Cities. Today's topic is going to be some of the top things that you want to look at when you are buying a pre-owned or a used vehicle. Definitely things that you want to look out for, and maybe some tips to maybe help you get a better deal. So top things to think about when we're buying a used vehicle or looking at a pre-owned vehicle is what we prefer to call them these days. Used vehicle, obviously that has some sort of connotation to it. So nowadays, everything is pre-owned, certified, or maybe it is a revamped or a refreshed vehicle. However you want to consider it. I know the one thing that we definitely want to talk about right away is to be as informed and as educated as you possibly can going into the whole process, because going in blind is never a good idea. So starting right off at the top, the number one thing you want to do is figure out what works best for you when it comes to cost. What is your budget for this purchase? Obviously every time you want to think about buying a new vehicle, it is a serious decision to make. It can affect just yourself, your whole family. Maybe you're a brand new couple that's just getting started, so you've got to figure those type of things out. So the best thing to do is determine a price point that meets your needs, but also consider not just your final price point, but what you can afford monthly as part of your budget. Because once you determine if you're going to have the funds to be able to buy it an outright, make an outright purchase and get something that would fit into a few $1,000s. Maybe it's just a car you need to get from A to B. But if it is definitely going to be something that you're going to be relying on as your primary vehicle, you're going to want to invest a little bit more money in that, and that means you would probably have to get financing for that purchase. When you decide that you need financing, make sure you consider what your monthly bills are going to look like. You don't want to go into a loan on a vehicle and end up somewhere you don't want to be at some point, whether that is behind on payments, just outright behind with money at home, or ending up having your car repossessed. So definitely have to think about what you can afford monthly before you decide to make that final purchase. Number two, figure out what type of vehicle you're looking for. A lot of times people don't think about what their actual need is before they go into a dealership. They just run right out, take a look at a selection of vehicles and pick something that's bright and shiny that maybe is going to look good in their driveway but not necessarily be functional for them. So definitely take that into consideration, what works best for your family and for your situation. The third thing is to take a look at what pricing is for that vehicle in particular. So once you figured out, let's say you need an SUV, figure out what models would probably have the best price range for you, have the best features for you. Maybe do some research on what type of reviews that type of vehicle gets, or which vehicles get the best reviews, so that you can make an informed decision about which type of vehicle you're going to get. Then once you have that determined, what type of vehicle you want, see what those type of vehicles are going for in your area. See what the pricing is like at different dealerships, and then kind of try and get a base rate on what you might have to spend. After that, decide on a lender. Before you go into a dealership, you don't necessarily have to wait and see what kind of financing they have when you get there. You can go out and find what type of lenders are out there, credit unions, banks, and other resources, to get the best rates possible. Always think about interest. A lot of people think about just the bottom line, what the final price tag is going to be or what your monthly is, but you have to also consider what your interest rates are. And if you have bad credit, your interest rates are always going to be a little bit higher. So see if there's ways that you can maybe find institutions that will work with you to get you the best pricing available. Sidebar to all of this is making sure you know what your credit rating is like. Always, if you have an idea of what your credit rating is like before you get to the dealership, you have that buying power. So if you have a low credit score, you're going to have to pay more in interest, or you're going to have to put more cash up front. So if you know that there's ways that you could maybe build your credit a little bit and you can postpone the purchase, it's always best to do that. You want to go in there with the absolute best cards that you can, in front of you, so that when you have to negotiate, you're getting the best out of the deal. So there's plenty of free resources out there to check your credit reports. There's other resources that are out there that can help you with you know increasing what your credit rating is currently. Or there are places, there are lenders out there, or there are dealerships that are out there that will sit down with you, tell you, shoot you straight exactly where you're at and what you need to do to get a better deal when you're trying to buy a vehicle. What would be next would probably be research your buying options when it comes to that those lenders. So see who has the best interest rates. See who doesn't require you to maybe have a lot of money down. See who is reputable, when it comes to that type of stuff. You don't want to obviously get involved with an institution that maybe has a bunch of hidden fees, or the interest rates will fluctuate and not be the same throughout the time of your loan. After that, you definitely want to take a look at who you want to do business with when you buy a car. Don't just go with the very first car place that everyone goes to, because what that car dealership might be able to do for that person, they can't do for everybody. Sometimes they specialize in giving great deals for people with great credit ratings. Maybe they're not so great with people that don't have good credit. Maybe there's an institution that really doesn't have a lot of newer vehicles, but they have a lot of more pre-owned vehicles that they can help people out with bad credit or no credit to get into those vehicles to help them with their needs. So find out who you're with. See if you can't get referrals from your friends to say, hey, I went here, they were great. I went there, it wasn't so great. And definitely take that into consideration when you decide who you want to work with. Next step would be to make sure that when you decide to go in confident about your purchasing decision. Don't hesitate when it comes to things like worrying about if the car has a Carfax or doesn't have a Carfax. If you have all those details, maybe you're a little bit nervous about the year of the vehicle or the mileage or things like that. I mean, those are all definitely things to consider, but depending on the style of the vehicle, it could be a vehicle that runs a lot longer. It could be a vehicle that has trusted beyond what the years would say. There are definitely vehicles that have a lot of better longevity. They have great resale value. So those are all things that you want to definitely take into consideration. Don't discount a vehicle just because it's pre-owned if that is going to meet your needs, if it is going to meet your budget. There's a lot of great buys out there. Yes, everyone would love to buy new. Everyone would love to buy with everything included, all the bells and whistles and everything else. But we don't all live in that same world. We all definitely have different needs. We all have to have different expectations. And we can definitely, with the right attitude and smart buying, you could definitely find yourself a good vehicle. So definitely think about what those key components that you need are before you go in. If low miles is important to you, that's great. If certain features are important to you, then make sure that is something that you evaluate. If the vehicle style or model is important to you, definitely make sure you kind of prioritize exactly what those needs are going to be when you go in. Lastly, just some extra little tips is that plan your time at the dealership accordingly. When you're going in to buy a new or any type of vehicle, there can be a long process with paperwork that you have to sign, verification of all your personal details. So if you're trying to cut it real close on the time that the dealership is open, or in your own personal time, you definitely don't want to try and do that. You want to give yourself enough time so that you don't have to make a rush decision when you go to the dealership. You want to take the time to make sure that you feel right about it. The other thing too is find places that you can start some sort of rapport with the people that you're working with. You go in cold with somebody that doesn't treat you like maybe they are that type of person that you can have a conversation with, or that you just get kind of a weird feel for. It can definitely make things a lot harder. So give those places a call, talk to a few people, see who's makes you feel comfortable, because in the end, those are probably the people that will probably make you feel easier about your final decision. Lastly, make sure that you have all your ducks in a row when you head to the dealership. You want to make sure you have your driver's license. You want to make sure you have proof of insurance. You want to see if you have a payoff on a previous vehicle that's going to be part of the deal. know what that payoff amount is going to be. If you're thinking that, you may need some sort of special financing help, like a type of in-house deal where, you get financing for somebody who has bad credit or no credit, maybe bring your proof of employment, maybe bring a proof of a paycheck, or something like that. That could really help out in helping them to get you some sort of loan or in-house deal that can work for you. So yeah, I mean, those are all the things that you definitely want to think about when you're trying to buy a car. I guess the biggest thing is that when you're in the car dealership business, you have to realize that not everyone is the same. You have to treat people according to what their needs are, to what their ultimate goals are, and we definitely, I know at the places I've worked at have that integrity that we don't want to put somebody in a bad position where they can't, end up affording the vehicle, or it doesn't fit their lifestyle, or it ends up causing them a lot more issues than what they need. Nobody wants to be that person. So we definitely want to make sure that you feel comfortable and secure with the people that you're working with to make that big purchase a little easier. Well, I hope that some of that information was really helpful to you and your car buying decisions. We're going to keep trying to do these little podcasts, see if there's some helpful information we can give you. Also, we want to add and keep adding to the format and making this a fun thing to do or to watch. So keep tuning in, see what's going on here with the podcast, Cruising the Quad Cities. Hopefully next time we can maybe bring in some guests. Maybe we'll have some more information about things going on in the area. So we'll be reaching out to you guys out there to see what other things we can include in these broadcasts to see, get a good breadth of what exactly Cruising in the Quad Cities is all about. So thanks for the time. See you next time.